National Signing Day is in our rear view mirror. Still a few unsigned kids out there, but a vast, vast, vast majority have found a home. I want to go over a bunch of things, and none of these things I'm going to spend a lot of time on because, quite frankly, there are a lot of places to go. I'm not going to bore you with talking about how great Bama's class was. Yeah, it was great. I think everyone and their mother knows about that now. Bama with the #1 class in the country, 3rd highest rated class of all time. I have a really, really big spot in my heart for Yanze Pierre, who is a 5-star kid. He was vaulted up like 90 spots in the final rankings. I have talked to our rankings council, and I have had them explicitly express to me what the rankings process was, because I know what the talk has been. I mosey on over there to BamaOnline.com sometimes, and I know some people thought highly of that kid for a long time, and I know in turn also why maybe the updated evals were a little bit slower to happen than some Bama fans wanted. But anyway, I think he's one of the 10 best players in the country. I am not on the rankings council, so that does not matter, but I happen to think very highly of him. And when you get to pair him with Keon Keeley, could be ultra fierce in pass rush for Alabama very, very soon. So they've got a ton of kids. I could do an entire show just talking about Alabama's signing class. But I won't put you through that tonight. What I do want to do is I got to post it here with some wild numbers I'm going to read you in a second. But in the meantime, I want to talk to you about Nicholas Harbor. And we're going to play some video in a second. Hold the video for just a second. Nicholas Harbor had his name all over the place yesterday. So he is a 5-star athlete, first and foremost. Could be an edge guy, could be a tight end. No matter what position he plays, total space alien. 6'5", 225. Now, that's the first thing you need to know. The second thing you need to know is it was back and forth for a long time. Looked like South Carolina. Then it looked like Oregon. Then it looked like South Carolina. And I want to make sure I bookmark this because I'll forget it if I don't. He ultimately ended up committing to and signing with South Carolina. So I guess the first thing we need to do is congratulate Shane Beamer and Jessica Jackson and the Gamecocks up there. Remember the recruiting coordinators. And the second thing that I want to tell you, and this is the part I'm going to circle back on, is I saw some conspiracy theories out there about how maybe this recruitment wasn't quite that dramatic. You know, maybe the drama was being manufactured for clicks. I'm not quite sure people know how the SEO game works, who continue to use the term clickbait, by the way. Anyway, I, your dutiful behind-the-scenes correspondent, was your eyes and ears on this recruitment. So I'm going to tell you how it went down in just a second. But the first thing I want to do, for those of you who don't care about the behind-the-scenes stuff, is I got to show you track video of Nicholas Harbor. Because he is an alien. 6'5", 225. Imagine what you think that looks like running track. And now I'm going to show you what it actually looks like. And for those of you on podcast, I want you to picture a kid twice the size of everyone else on the track. It looks fake. And then I want you to picture him completely pulling away. And if you could have a Sarah McLachlan special in track and field, you're watching it right now. Because the rest of those kids might as well be in the arms of an angel. How does a human being of that size versus other humans of a relative smaller size move this fast? I don't know. But Shane Beamer got him. Now, here's the concern. It's a great concern to have. He is such an elite athlete, he potentially has Olympic track and field in his future. So that is the concern these days. The concern used to be, are we even going to put a competitive product on the field? Now it is, are our players a little bit too good? Are we going to lose them to the Olympics? Great problem to have. So congratulations to Shane Beamer. Now, before I move on, let me go back to the conspiracies. I love a good conspiracy. And before I came to work at CBS and 24/7, I was a member of this site, just like you guys are, most of you anyway. And I used to traffic. When a kid that I wanted to be ranked 4 stars was only 3 stars, I knew that there had to be bias involved. And when there was a lot of drama, and this is the one I really used to latch myself onto, when there was a lot of drama, when the Steve Wiltfongs of the world, when the Andrew Ivans of the world, when they kept going back and forth, and then the crystal ball feature came along, and they kept flipping that crystal ball, when it kept going back and forth approaching signing day, I used to think I was smarter than the rest of the room, and I would say, those guys know what they're doing. They know they're in the click business. And so I'm here now, and I think most of you who have watched the program for quite a while know I'm not hesitant to criticize us when we do something dumb. I'm not hesitant to criticize our own show here. Certainly when we do something dumb, and it happens. Mainly my fault, but it happens. But I did want to give you a little perspective. So me and Wiltfong are over in the other studio yesterday. We were doing blowout, wall-to-wall National Signing Day coverage, and I got to tell you, I actually think that kid's recruitment was even wilder than they led on, because I got to be witness to it. I got to listen to coaches off the record. I got to listen to people close to the recruitment off the record. It was a fight. It was a fight between Oregon and South Carolina. Maryland had been in there, and they faded a little bit. It's really incredible, especially when I don't have to put my name behind a pick, and I really do just get to be a fly on the wall. It's crazy, and I'm an extremely sore loser. This is what I told Wiltfong. I lost to management in ping pong the other day. One of my 2 losses in the history of this office, I lost to management, and it affected the next 48 hours of my life. It's a problem. I'm trying to deal with it. I may need help. I don't lose very well. And that's just a ping pong match. I told Wiltfong, what if I were Dan Lanning and that staff at Oregon? And I think at one point the track coach stayed back from a meet so he could meet with Nicholas Harbor and Phil Knight. They had Phil Knight meet with him and talk about what it's like to be a Nike athlete. And anyway, you invest just months and months, and in some cases years, into recruitment, and it feels like it just flips over the past 12 hours 3 times. I respect you guys because I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't handle it. And Oregon still signed a great class. But the thing about it is, I would just remember the kids I didn't get. I would remember the ones that I missed on. And so, anyway, I'm trying to tell you, no, there was not an ounce of manufacturing drama there for clicks. In fact, if we wanted to, we probably could have really peeled back the veil and gotten more clicks. And those wouldn't have mattered either, because no one really cares about clicks on social media. All right, I want to talk to you about Kentucky, but not necessarily Kentucky's class. This is not an expose on Mark Stoops and the goings-on in Lexington. I just wanted to illustrate something for you. And you know, when I have a Post-it note on my hand, it means that we're going to do the Post-it pop. Not quite like the paper pop, but the Post-it pop is also important. First off, I want to read you Kentucky's class, okay, to illustrate where they fit in the grand scheme of things. So Kentucky had a good class. Kentucky finished 31st overall. All of America. Kentucky signs the 31st ranked class. They had 8 4-stars in the class. They had 11 3-stars. And that's really good. That is really good. That would be good for 5th in the ACC. It would be good for 5th in the Big 12. It's 12th. They finished 12th in the SEC. They only got 14 teams down there. Kentucky, they almost finished top 30. They finished 12th in their own conference. Now comes the Post-it here. Producer Jesse tells me the SEC has signed 102 of the top 247. Let me repeat for emphasis. We got a top 247. Those are the top 247 players in the country. SEC currently has 102 of them, with still a few outliers remaining. It could get even worse than that. The SEC has 102 of the top 247. That's more than the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC combined. And they play pretty good football in those conferences. And don't tell me they don't have the talent in the Big Ten and the ACC footprints. You may be able to talk about the Pac-12 a little bit more, but they also have a state called California out there. 102 of the top 247 in the SEC footprint. Florida has the 14th ranked class in the country. And it is being viewed by some people, because of what happened with Jaden Rashada, as a disappointment. Like, think about having to exist in that climate where you finish top 15, and yet you're sitting there and people are saying, yeah, but. The SEC has also now finished with the #1 recruiting class in the country every year since 2009. A lot of them have been Bama. I think this was their 10th overall #1 class in the last 13 or so years. And I kind of made that stat up, but the spirit of it is true. And that's the standard we hold ourselves to around here. It's okay to make up a stat as long as the spirit of the stat is accurate. And that's exactly what they taught me in journalism school. All right, Miami. let me ask you a question. What did you expect from Mario Cristobal when he got to Miami? I, personally, did not expect them to immediately compete for fill in the blank. I didn't expect them to get beat by the teams they got beat by last year, but the first thing I thought about when Mario went to Miami is, ooh, recruiting. And they just signed the number 1 class in the ACC. They signed, at this point, the number 7 class in the country. So that's what I expected from him. And also, I guess we haven't talked about this. Remember, I was hinting around for several weeks there were more staff changes coming down there. And yes, it happened finally. Josh Gaddis was shown the door, so he's not the offensive coordinator there anymore. So my point is, they signed multiple kids in this class that will be immediate contributors, namely on the offensive line. And hopefully the offense rectifies itself a little bit more this year. I will promise you, and this is fresh off the heels of my disastrous Texas A&M proclamation last year, but I will promise you Miami's going to be better this year than they were last year. And you may say, that's not a bold statement at all. I know. That's why I'm promising it in February, or February, as some of my buddies would say. I want to speak about another school right quick. I told you, this is going to be random. I'm picking out stuff that stands out to me. Could we discuss Michigan State for just a second? I know, like I said, kind of random. Follow me here, though. They, look at the posture I've struck. They finished number 23 for the second year in a row. Finished with the 23rd ranked class in the country. Pause button. Is that good or bad to you? I hear some of you saying, okay, there you go. I have such a connection that you're talking in your car 24 hours after I recorded this, and yet I still get where you're going. The live chat now, I'm looking at it, and, well, actually, we kind of got a mixture. I think a lot of people are underwhelmed with this signing class for Michigan State. And this comes with the territory of making $9.5 million a year if you're Mel Tucker. What used to be good enough is no longer good enough. So I asked producer Jesse earlier today, I said, Jesse, how does this stack up to how they have been recruiting? And producer Jesse went back a few years, and this is what it sounds like. 2, 4, 5, 6. These are the last 7 signing classes at Michigan State. 36, 30, 31, 44, 46, here comes Mel Tucker, 23, 23. Now, if you're comparing them to what Georgia's doing, no. This is a precipitous drop-off, but we don't, or we shouldn't, be comparing Mel Tucker at Michigan State to what Kirby Smart at Georgia's done. We should be comparing him to what Michigan State's done. And compared to what Michigan State's done, he's recruited a whole lot better, and he's done it 2 cycles in a row. I just think that no one cares about what they have done because they would come right back and they would say, yeah, but that was before we got a taste of success last year, if we're being real. And that was also before we started paying Mel Tucker a third of the entire budget of the state of Michigan, it seems like. So I get both sides. I've always maintained on this show, it doesn't matter if you pay him $19.5 million a year. Your program is capable of what it's capable of. You're capable of what you're capable of. And you don't get to justify warped expectations just because you threw a lot of money at someone. That doesn't make sense in college football or in life. If you're 5'10", and you can't dunk, and then I say, here's $10 million, go dunk for me, and you still can't dunk, how dumb would it be for me to be pissed off at you? I'm the one who paid some kid who's 5'10" to dunk. I just blew $10 million on him. I'm not telling you, by the way, Michigan State's blowing money on Mel Tucker. I am saying people who are upset they didn't finish top 10 may be a little bit more of a problem than Mel Tucker is the problem. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. It turned into a spicy Michigan State segment all of a sudden. And also, everyone's favorite, America's favorite program. Trust me, if you don't believe me, look at the comments. Colorado. I have a list of schools for you here to listen to. And I want you to tell me what these programs have in common. Big hitters here. Ohio State, Oregon, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Florida, Penn State, Clemson, Florida State, Auburn, Michigan. What do they have in common? Well, those are all programs that recruited less 5-stars through the portal and through recruiting than Colorado did. You look at the composite 5-star rankings, And Colorado landed more 5-stars when you combine portal and recruiting than that entire list that I just read off to you. Ohio State's in there, Tennessee, Oregon's in there, and that's the Deion Sanders effect. They're ranked 21st. The recruiting class is ranked 21st. The transfer class, the portal class is ranked 5th. 2 5-stars, 6 4-stars. This is the University of Colorado. This is where you have to understand some context. I love when we get new viewers and listeners. I love when college football gets new fans. Understand something, though. If you live in St. Paul and you've been a Minnesota Vikings fan your whole life and you're just kind of delving into college football, because you don't know any better, you're not stupid, you're just ignorant to how recruiting works, you could fool yourself into looking at this and saying, big deal, 21st? Well, it's not even top 20, right? This is Colorado. You can multiply that number by 2 or 3, and then that would be more in line with where you would expect the Colorado Buffaloes to be landing in recruiting. Huge, phenomenal job being done by Deion Sanders and company out there. So those were my thoughts on National Signing Day. Now, as you know, we'll post this as an individual video over on the YouTube channel, and I will be happy to hear your thoughts and no doubt get scolded for not bringing up your school signing class. I can hear him in Knoxville already. I'm surprised Colin hasn't already yelled in my ear. That's just what stood out to me.
Thanks for watching, guys. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Make sure you like the video and please subscribe to the channel. Not just for me, that's how we keep this entire thing free.